Hello and welcome to another game of Napoleon Total War taken from a recent campaign I played with some friends. Now here we have the Imperial Russian Army moving up towards Athens. Yes, Athens is about to fall or be liberated from the cunning Turk and handed back over to its own rulers, the Greeks. Now the Russian army is on the move. As you can see, it is desperately trying to reposition itself in a slightly more advantageous position than what it was in. Units are being given their marching orders. We do have a large contingent of standard foot musketeers, but we do have the 3rd Regiment Pavlovsk Grenadiers. These are ultra elite. I mean, these troops are possibly the most elite guards regiment anywhere ever. First World War trenches, there were troops still wearing these helmets with musket ball dents from the Battle of Borodino. So these guys are incredibly hard. That's our drummer and our standard bearer. Just don't like these Russian flags that they're using in this game. It's not the proper Imperial Romanov Eagle. But that's just me being picky. Right, we have the Ottoman Empire have sent out a force initially to counter us. Here we have a Russian army, a Turkish cavalry charge coming in. Is it going to catch the 3rd Regiment of Musketeers in line? It looks like, no it's not. They're desperately forming square. Square is a perfect defence against cavalry. Unfortunately, it's incredibly risky when you're facing artillery. Let's get in there and see some of the action. We've got Ottoman Spy cavalry. We have Delhi horsemen breaking into the square. The square is actually managing to hold. Second square has been formed by the 2nd Regiment of Foot. More cavalry pouring in here as well against the Russian Jaegers who are deploying. And against the Russian Jaegers in the trees. The Russian Jaegers are briefly, and I mean really briefly, skirmish line troops do not stop cavalry charges in the slightest. In fact, cavalry like only one target better than skirmish line infantry, and that's fleeing infantry. Now musketeers are holding on desperately. Line is shrinking, they're taking heavy casualties. This square here is getting very badly damaged. These troops here down to 116 of 136. People ask me, why do I post campaign games and not proper real player against another player PvP style game? The reason I play campaign games is, and post campaign game is you can have battles against other players. When I come up against the French, I will actually be fighting a live opponent. But the reason I like campaign games is that you start the battle with whatever's on the map. You don't actually start with full strength units all the time. I only had 136 men in this unit to start with. They're down to 102. The square is trying desperately to reform. It just keeps contracting, forming the ranks, getting smaller and smaller. More cavalry comes streaming in. Now the cavalry over here, I send 2 regiments of cavalry over here to try and drive off the Turkish cavalry who are massacring my Jaegers. Reinforcements are marching onto the field from the Turkish side. Their artillery has deployed, 18-pounders, 2 batteries of, and a battery of 9s also moving in. Your Janissary musketeers are moving in. This is actually becoming quite a bit of a slugfest, and my army is now actually facing the wrong way. I deployed to face off against a force down at the bottom of this hill, and they're no longer here. Cavalry charges continuing against the squares. The squares are managing to hold their own, driving off the cavalry yet again. The Imperial Russian Army is butchering the Turks. Johnny Turk is not going to survive, is not going to break my square. I'm determined to survive. 97 out of 136. We're nearly down to half strength, but we're continuing to hold our line. Powder smoke is filling the air, ladies and gentlemen. Powder smoke is obliterating our line of sight. Those musketeers are tired. They are pinned down. They are forced into a square. They daren't move out of their square. Pavlovsky Grenadiers have moved up to offer fire support. The Pavlovsky Grenadiers are so hard they've moved up in line. My cavalry are now retreating. The remains of my cavalry are now retreating. badly mauled. Artillery fire is coming in on my square. I desperately need to change out of square into a line formation. My squares will get hammered by the opposition. Now I'm starting to realise that I do need to relimber up. My artillery is starting to reposition. My army is starting to reposition at a right angle to its original position, forming up along this ridge line here. Horse gun batteries are good for this because they can redeploy very quickly. They do tend to be lighter, unfortunately, but they are redeploying quickly. Russian army is redeploying here, as we can see. These are the positions my army is going to be taking. There's a slight concave, trying to sucker the enemy up to attacking up through the centre. What do the enemy have to throw against me? Well, as we saw, we had the 2-pounders batteries of 18-pounders at the back. The more Janissary musketeers moving up. Janissaries at this stage of the war, or this stage of history, are not the dreaded, feared thing they were before. Auto peasant levies, something the Turks do seem to field a lot of. Bashi bazooks, another skirmishing unit, very, very effective in melee combat if they can ever get in. Peasant levy coming in. Let's have a good close look at these troops moving in. This is their general unit. You can see sword-armed bazooks are absolutely fearsome if they can get into close combat. How do the peasants look to us? Excuse me, I'm trying to do this with a mouse and it's not working. Keyboard, that's the answer. Look at those fearsome faces. Now, unfortunately, it's the Janissaries that I do fear the most. More levies. Where are the Janissaries gone? Janissaries have formed up their lines. My artillery has started firing, but not with any kind of effect. Missing completely. Janissaries do look particularly fearsome. They are still good troops. They are the backbone of the Turkish army. Unfortunately, the Turkish army at this stage, well, it isn't as good as it used to be. The Janissaries actually only have a few years of life left in them before they are crushed in a revolt in Constantinople by the Sultan. But this is in period time to come. 1798, the Turks rely on the Janissaries, the only Christian troops in a Muslim army. Yes, they are white. They are strictly white Christians, commanded by white Christian officers. The high I can't remember what their leader is called, but he is actually chosen from the ranks. All their officer corps come from the ranks, so they are fearsome units. As I say, the only Christians in a Muslim army. More peasant levy marching on. Peasant levy shouldn't give me too much trouble. And they are at full strength, but I do have my Pavlov's Grenadiers, who are possibly the hardest, as I said before, the hardest troops in the known universe. I have them somewhere. They are around here somewhere. Here we go. Hardest troops in the known universe, hiding in the trees. They will survive quite nicely. Third foot, second foot. Fourth Grenadiers, fourth foot, sorry. Fifth foot, and backing them up the 6th foot. 6th foot Grenadiers. Right, this is coming down to a bit of a pounding of the Turkish army as it is manoeuvring and getting itself into position. Turks have hidden below the ridge of the line. I can't really hit them. I had severe difficulty in actually landing any shells. I think I've killed one man out of that unit. That's about it. They're now unlimbering a 9-pounder battery on the road. They'll probably have as much success at killing anything as I've had. Look at it from their point of view. They can't see anything apart from the backs of their own troops. Now hopefully they'll shoot. When I fire, I kill my own troops. Hopefully they'll do the same thing. No, they don't. Actually, I have to put a shell into my regiment. Or at least close to it. The artillery is firing on both sides now, having very little effect. Range is extreme range. Units are deployed on the other side of hills, on the reverse slopes of hills, which is a fantastic place for them. Right, we have the Auto Peasant Levy now moving up to the top of a hill. They will begin to start taking casualties. As we can see, there are a few dead already from cannon fire. Yep, and they go flying a few more. As you see here, piles of bodies. This is from the cavalry attack on my Jaegers and then my counter attack by my cavalry. This is what the Turks are seeing. It would be really good if we could have all the major races played by players for campaign games. And these Turks are still technically just the other side of the hill. He's going to take a good shot to actually cause any casualties. Jolly good shot there, sir. Jolly good shot. Didn't kill anybody, but jolly good shot all the same. Killed a couple of guys, but no. And we're gradually picking off a few troops here and there. Nothing serious. More peasants moving up. The cavalry have already launched their attacks. They have already launched attacks and been driven off. 18-pounder battery of guns. 2 batteries of them. 3 batteries of them, I lie. 3 batteries of 18-pounder artillery. Causing a lot of damage if they could actually get any decent hits. Unfortunately, my troops are formed on a ridge. I am going to start taking casualties once they find the range. Luckily for me, they haven't. The only casualties I've taken so far are from skirmishers out in front. In front of the main line. Cover, give a bit of cover. Really, I should have the skirmishers down here somewhere. But last time I put skirmishers out on their own, they got butchered. Turks are still positioning their army. Moving up their last unit of auto peasant levy. Now the peasant levy are going to be forming as a meat shield for this one, going through covering the janissaries, protecting the janissaries for as long as possible from musket fire. As soon as that unit is in position, I think we will have a march out by the Turks. Artillery fire continuing to rain down on the Turkish army. The Turkish army are gradually starting to take casualties. Nothing they really need to worry about. But we do like the way our artillery is firing, and now, yes, we do have a march out. The army is marching forwards, and we are going to see an attack on the Russian lines. These 2 units here are wheeling around to come up against my left. This is going to try and take my right. Nothing up against the centre. Looks like possibly the janissaries will come up the centre straight into my gun line. That's incredibly brave of them. That's the kind of chaps they are. Jolly good chaps. Really, really, really jolly good. Right, artillery continuing to fire and pound. Now, the janissaries are coming into view. I'm desperately trying to switch targets, open up on the janissaries, do some serious damage to them. Artillery shells. And artillery goes clean through that unit. There, it takes out a handful of men. This is the only problem. If you hit them with a huge splash of troops, then you think, yes, I've done a lot of damage, and half of them get back up again and rejoin the line. They were just knocked down. Really, honestly, you get knocked down by 9-pound cannonballs travelling at 1,800 miles an hour. Or, sorry, 1,800 feet per second. You do not get back up. It does look like I have some sunbathing troops. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing, but I think they're sunbathing. Why my artillery have troops out sunbathing, I'm not entirely sure. Right, their artillery has got a few hits on my musketeers, but nothing, again, that I need to worry about. My artillery is bombarding and firing like crazy. No casualties on my guns yet. No casualties on my guns. Still pouring down fire upon the enemy. Keep firing, chaps, keep firing. That's the ticket. Now we've got these peasants coming up through here. Are going to come up against my left. The janissaries have taken to marching up to the centre. This looks like they are going to actually try and take my gun lines. This could be rather dangerous if they actually do take my gun line. It would leave me without artillery, and then even at this stage, even with half their cavalry, or sorry, their entire cavalry force defeated, they still actually outnumber me slightly. They are all full strength, 160-man units. I do have everything turned up to ultra. The unit size is ultra. The opponent is counting us very hard. I'm not at full strength. I haven't been at full strength for quite some time. This army has already taken Bulgaria. If you play Napoleon Total War, you will know where I'm talking about. It's the bit next to where they join on. Turkey joins on to Austria. Not doing enough damage to those Turkish peasants. The Turkish peasants are going to push through. The janissaries have made the cover of the woods and now pushing through the woods. Shielded by a peasant levy unit. Still too far away to switch to grape shot. My cannon really should have been advanced up to this part of the hill. Up to here is where I should have my artillery, ideally, I think. Live and learn. Cavalry strike going in for the Russians. Here we go. Tally-ho, chaps. My last cavalry regiment, as you can see, it's normally a 60-man unit down to 34. This is why I like campaign games, because you actually have to end up doing the same as you would do normally in a set-piece battle. but with less. The other reason I like campaign games is they're not necessarily going to get equal armies. 9-pounder's battery is limbering up, looking like they spotted the cavalry moving up and look like they're going to try and break off. Get out of the range. My artillery does switch to grape shot, is now firing grape shot into that unit there. Grape shot coming in from the main guns up here as well. Powder fight has started here, you can see the powder smoke. Unit of musketeers is wheeling around to try and take these peasants in the flank. Musketeers are firing, grenadiers are banging away as usual. We have much of fire going on. One of my almost full strength units, down to 138 men. Load, damn you, load. That's it, lads. Ram on the shot. Take the ramrod out. You will need it again for another shot. Not uncommon in this period for the ramrods to be fired out of the guns. For some reason my light infantry have fallen back and are now facing the wrong way. Grape shot now blasting into these peasants. Grape shot, think giant shotgun. Shotgun with a bore of about, a barrel width of about 4 inches. That is a gigantic shotgun. Janissaries mixed up with the peasants. Switch targets to go and try and take on the line. Moving up desperately, trying to charge into the line. Will they make it? The Russian Jaegers are buying us a few minutes, whilst the line regiments of musketeers will fire into the Janissaries. The Janissaries are calling it a day. They are leaving. What's happening to the rest of the army? The general units, the bazooks, are still trying desperately to rally the army. We do have troops rallying. More Janissaries here, down to 145 men. Still firing here. Still auto peasant levy Janissary musketeers are again still firing. I do have a very small unit of cavalry available over here. The cavalry, my last cavalry unit, has taken out their artillery. Turkish artillery is now no longer a threat. Now, unfortunately for my cavalry, they are going to go charging into the general unit and are going to be a target for my own artillery. If I can keep my artillery firing on somebody else other than his general. General has taken some minor casualties, but nothing serious. If I can rout his general, I will probably rout his entire army. There just are not a lot of cavalry. Skirmishing infantry are a perfect target. Now, if there were more of me, I would butcher this unit in seconds. As it stands, they are moving up the hill. They are going to receive missile fire from the musketeers, and so is my cavalry. My cavalry breaks off to try and take these Janissaries. Unfortunately, the Janissaries do rally, and my cavalry thinks better of that. Let's take on the Bashooks and kill them. The general unit is far more important to kill. It is wavering. Its morale is not brilliant. We still have down to 84 Janissaries, but they are firing like mad. Adjusting the ranks there as they try and take on my 7th Regiment of Foot. My 7th Regiment of Foot is taking minor casualties, but nothing serious. 1st Regiment of Grenadiers is taking casualties. Pavlos Grenadiers, barely any casualties at all. Big men can soak up a lot of damage. That was it. Far too much damage. Lost 100 out of their 160 men. That is far too much damage for those Janissaries. General unit down to half strength as well. My cavalry call it a day. That is just too much damage they're taking. They're down to the last 3 men run for their lives. Unfortunately, the continued artillery fire is too much for the general unit. The general does pull out. I'm not sure if I've actually killed the general at this time. No, I haven't. General is nearby, still inspiring his troops, even though he is leaving the battlefield. Janissaries have rallied again. This is the power of the Janissaries. The Janissaries do rally incredibly well, incredibly quickly. They've brought some peasant levy with them, and they're going to be trying to march on my gun line, which was always the fear that I had. Musketeers have now moved up and are ready to cover the guns. So they march up to the guns, and grape shot available. But a lot of the grape shot is being absorbed by the peasants, and what better use for peasants but to absorb the grape shot. Now here come the Janissaries. The Janissaries take one good blast from the grape shot and decide that they wish to be elsewhere. And I think that is it. No, it is not it. Here we have more units rallied. Their morale is very, very, very shaky, but they have rallied. More Janissary musketeers are moving in, bringing with them some yet more levy. The Bashooks general unit has also rallied. Turks are routing over there. Not going to worry about them. The last of my cavalry has fallen back, having tried to go after a routing unit. Alright, my infantry are now redeploying to meet this new threat. This is the new line that the infantry are going to take. Saying the Turks are trying to outflank my line, reform your line. Never be afraid to reform your line. It's amazing the amount of damage that foot troops can take and withstand. And these Janissaries are down to 57 men and are still willing to enter the battle. It's firing upon them in the flank. They are not going to last long, unfortunately. Down to 50 men. Pushing forwards. Load, march forwards, and off they go. Aim. And begin firing. Now really, you're not going to do a lot against my troops, but my troops are going to have a go. And so are you. Both sides are pushing forward. Also firing forward. The peasant levy have moved in. Peasants are firing as well. Very ragged fire from the Janissaries, unfortunately. Gigantic long jazales are there. Do look quite fantastic. Down 49 men. Woodland trees like this do give cover. Does give cover to your troops. It does make shooting an awful long business. Now what I would like to be able to do really is to bring some cavalry round onto a flank, or bring an infantry unit round onto a flank to take these in the flank. Give some supporting fire. Really should be looking at moving this regiment down. My artillery is still firing and trying to put fire down onto the peasants. Janissaries down to 46 men. Down to... lost 2 of my men. Dressing the lines. Close up, close up. Comes out the call. Moving in down to 45 men. They're gradually dropping one by one. Another one drops there. Bit of a water margin death there, I think. If you don't know what a water margin death is, it's a death where you get killed and it takes then another 20 minutes of on-screen action for you to drop dead. Based on a television series called The Water Margin. More casualties, of course, and the Janissaries to close the ranks, but they are taking nearly 60%. Well, they've taken nearly 66% casualties. So 2/3 of their unit is dead, and they are still firing. In fact, actually, nearly 3/4 of the unit is dead, and they are still firing. They are still holding up the advance of the Imperial Russian Army, and they're advancing. Charge! They are actually charging into the line. That was it. No, they lost over 75% of their men. They finally decide that they're going to call it a day. My infantry do actually now maneuver around to catch them in the flank if they can. They won't actually escape from that. Is there anything left? Yes, the bazooks. Finally, the bazooks are actually going to come into the battle. I don't actually think the Turks have anything. Yes, the Turks do. I lie. The Turks do have a unit of peasant levy bravely marching past the guns. Now, the guns can switch to ball from grape shot and catch this line in the flank, which is firing down the flank of the line. So you normally fire at the front of a line and you'll knock over 2 or 3 guys. Fire down the flank of a line and you can knock down an entire rank. An entire row of men can fall down in one shot, which is an immense amount of damage. Can my artillery pull this off? I don't think they can. I don't think I remember to change. Or did I? Did I change it or not? I don't think I did. Which is a bit of a shame. The artillery up the top of the hill can't see them, so they can't do anything. Let's see how the bazooks doing. Leaving. That's good. So the Turkish army is down to... Actually, yes, I do believe there is evidence of a large long line of troops just being taken down. I missed that. That's just typical. And that is the peasants off. I believe that is the end of the battle. I'm pretty sure. Yes, it is. So, I'll give you a quick rundown. The Imperial Russians deployed 1448 men, lost 300. And according to this, it didn't actually count the reinforcements, but the main attack, the initial attacking army was wiped out in the statistics. Yeah, well, 152 wiped out. Yeah, jolly good. Not really very interesting. Thank you very much. I have been Havoc, and I will be bringing you more games as we march into northern Italy and begin to crush the French invader. Catch you guys later.